Everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's exclusive analysis. And today's we're going to be discussing the base metals, copper. Copper is seeing a big potential technical breakdown here. At least certainly that's what we're seeing in the equity market. So copper is hanging on a knife thread here. It's testing this breakout trend line right now, but it has been rejected off this upsloping trend line, and it does leave it vulnerable to potentially having a head and shoulders on the daily chart. Your next support, I believe, on copper is going to be at around this 358, 360 area. I think copper is going to break this level and test this area over here. Now, what does that mean if copper tests this area? Well, it certainly means that it opens up the probabilities for a bigger bearish pattern here on the daily to trigger. Now, you probably get a bounce if copper was to flush into this area. You probably get a bounce back up to here, but this does put in the probabilities. If we lose this trend line, it swings the probabilities drastically in favor for lower price action in copper. And what's the importance of analyzing copper and looking at copper trends? Well, it's simply a massive economic indicator for the economy, the global economy. It's the most used base metal in the world, from laptops to phones to housing to commercial buildings to vehicles. Copper is in everything that we know, and if this starts breaking down, it could be signaling weaker and weaker demand. Now, what's interesting is copper stocks, I believe, are actually leading the technical breakdowns. Look at this technical breakdown in FCX today, right ahead of earnings as well. FCX is basically breaching. This was your head and shoulders pattern here. Your neckline pattern on FCX broke down. It never completely fulfilled the downside move around 30.75, so maybe there's a potential we can get down there. But it's going to have to take some big economic and copper weakness, maybe the strong dollar, to continue. But you've now actually gapped over this trend line and sold right through it and got a dead bearish close right below this gap fill and right triggering below this neckline. So it does leave the probabilities that, okay, maybe we do have a big failed pattern here that could take us to new lows on the session. Why do I say new lows? Well, here's your high, lower high, lower high. 3 lower highs in the trend. You have 1 higher low, 2 higher lows. This is going to be a big test for copper. I see some support at this downsloping trend line. Downside target of that original bearish patterns is all the way down here. We'll have to really watch copper closely. I think you're hitting some near-term support, which is the daily 200 moving average, and you're also hitting some support here at the 50. Most market participants are looking at this as a golden cross, which actually is technically about to happen as long as copper holds above this area. So if copper sees more downside tomorrow and starts closing below these moving average, it will negate the golden cross. But as of now, many market participants were front running and chasing this golden cross, and I do believe market participants got slapped. Our members have been short FCX here at 41.06, so we're nicely in the money, and I'm expecting more downside. Our SCCO is another important name to watch because it is absolutely breaking down. This one has more relative strength than FCX. You can see that it's way above its breakaway gap, and it actually put in a new cycle high. So I think, again, why we could see a big move down in copper is you have this mean double top. You have a failed breakout on SCCO, one of the leading copper stocks. And if this becomes a big failed breakout, we all know what happens from failed breakouts, big bearish moves. I have a high pivot calculation. The calculation is not the base case right now, but the bearish calculation takes you all the way down to 48. It becomes the base case calculation right now. I would say it's about a 25% chance of playing out. I would say there's about a 65 to 70% chance of retracing back to the 71.75 in the coming weeks. But if you break this neckline, it swings the probabilities drastically that you have a move down to 48.28 on SCCO. So again, more copper equity stocks are showing massive signs of weakness, heavy volume sell-offs, closing at the dead lows when the S&P and the markets actually got a big bounce into the close. On that note, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like down below, and we'll see you on the charts a bit later.